Havana community. So this is going to be the second part, or the second video in my Chrystal Collection series. Last video I spoke about and showed records that I'd got in that collection, but the ones that I'd already had, and so those were basically just going to be sort of upgrades for me. Now I'm going to sort of try and embark on showing records that I got that I didn't have previously, but the ones I'm keeping out of the lot that I got. It's going to probably take a few videos, so I thought I'd sort of show about 7 at a time. This first batch that I picked out, I didn't do it intentionally, it just happened this way, but then I kind of saw what I was doing and completed it. These ones I'm going to show now are kind of slightly folky perhaps, or acoustic sort of in orientation. Playing is this is an incredible string band. It's a compilation album called Relics. It's from 1971, got a little cut out there, but it's really quite pleasant. I'd never heard anything by these before, so they're very new to me. They're sort of described as being a sort of psychedelic folk type band. Like I said, they're new to me, so I don't know that much about them, but I'm enjoying listening to the record. A similar vein is this album. So this is Roy Harper. It's his first album. It's a reissue of his first album, The Sophisticated Beggar, and it just came out, I think 1970, I think it came out. It's quite interesting. You know, Roy Harper's always being referenced, or has always been referenced by people like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. And I don't know, I assume when they're referencing him, it has more to do with his sort of personality and that sort of thing, rather than, the music that he plays. I don't know, but it's okay. It will take a little while for me to get into this. Glad to have it though. I've only got one other thing by Roy Harper, and that's on CD, so that's nice to have. So this is an album by a pair called Silly Sisters, and they are sort of, I don't know if you say a super group, but Maddie Pryor, was the vocalist in Steely Eye Span, which is sort of like an electric folk type band. This is very much sort of folk singing. It's really nice. The other lady here was named June Tabor. I hadn't really actually heard her before, and I can't seem to find much out about her, so I guess she's relatively unknown. It's just on Chrysalis, but it's quite a nice record, very sort of folky. It's a live album, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Four-Way Street. So this is apparently the album, the last sort of live album they did as Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and apparently under this time they were fighting amongst themselves quite severely, apparently, and that's why it's the last album, or last live album they did together, like this, because when they resurfaced they were just Crosby, Stills and Nash. And I've often heard Neil Young say that he would never be so keen to go back to joining them. I haven't actually listened to this one yet, but I do like Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. I've got Deja Vu, so looking forward to getting into that. Donovan, Essence to Essence. one that I didn't have. Came out in '73. Apparently this marks his return to sort of more of the folky, softer side of things. I haven't heard the albums that came out prior to this. I think they're supposed to be a bit more sort of glam rocky type stuff, but this is sort of where he shrugs off that and returns back to form. Cat Stevens. This is his last album. I didn't have. Back to Earth. Quite a nice cover, isn't it? I've always liked that. And the price sticker on it says £3.95. It kind of gets mixed reviews, this album. I think it's telling because apparently it's the album that he made, or the last album that he made, using the name Cat Stevens. I mean, apparently he changed his name because he sort of converted to Islam and changed his name to Yusuf. But I think there was some kind of contract or obligation that he do one more album, so that's what this one is, and he used the name Cat Stevens. So yeah, I haven't paid too much attention to it yet. I played it once or twice, but I haven't got into it, and I assume that it's perhaps not so good because, well, he'd already kind of left that role already. This is a really lovely record. Janice Ian, I'd never heard of her before, completely new to her. It's one of those records I put on and everybody in the house kind of likes it. My wife even come in and said, oh, that's really nice. She sounds a little bit like Carole King from Columbia. A little bit like Carole King, and apparently it contains her biggest hit, which is a track called 17. I'm mildly familiar with it, but otherwise I didn't know anything else by her. But this is I think her first album. Really good. I recommend this if you like. Yeah, if you like Carole King, if you like Joan Baez. I know they're slightly different, but apparently she was inspired by Joan Baez. But Carole King is very, very close in style to her, and she's a great songwriter. I recommend that. And then the last one in this batch is a compilation. I think it's a compilation of Magna Carta. So they're sort of described as sort of like a progressive folk band, and well, it's a double album. Nice cover. Yeah, it is very folky with a kind of progressive twinge to it. So I'm enjoying these kind of folky things, and feeling at one with my universe at the moment. Okay, so that's that batch. I'll make another one of these in the future. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.